Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to a long overdue episode in the life of a virtual airline pilot. As you can see, we are in P3D version 4. I did go ahead and pick up the NGX 4 P3D version 4 because, well, I need to do this. I'm way overdue for this episode. I mean, we haven't done this in a while. I think the last flight was like 5 months ago. So that's a long time. So we definitely need to do this episode, but as you are aware, I am making the transition to P3D as quickly as financially possible. It obviously wasn't cheap for this aircraft, but I did have a little bit of extra this month, and I was able to do it. So we went for it because I want to get this episode done, and I want to keep going. You know, I said when we started Mac Air, I said, you know, we're not going away from PVA. PVA got us started over here at the Cap Mac channel, and we're going to keep supporting them and promoting them just as much as I'm going to support and promote my own virtual airline. So I still have a lot of respect and a lot of friendship over here with these guys at PVA, and so for you guys, you know, for my friends over there, the guys that run PVA and all of that, I apologize that it's been so long since I got an episode out, but here we are. We're going to get the next one out, and we're going to try and get a little bit back on track. We got a lot going on the Captain Mac channel right now, lots of different video series and all. There's just a lot going on, so but we're going to get as many as we can. But either way, so here we are. We're looking at our PMDG 737 NGX's 737-800. Today's flight is based on your votes, folks. I did not forget about it. I went back to the last episode. I looked at what options were available. I counted up the votes, and it was close. Now, the crazy thing has been like 5 months, so there could have been a lot more voting, but there wasn't. So whatever. But it was one vote. You guys won out by one vote. We're gonna fly to the infamous Tenerife Airport, and we're gonna be flying there from Copenhagen today in our Ryanair 737. So that was the flight that won out. I haven't even taken a look yet to see where we're gonna be looking at going next. I don't know yet. But we'll see what happens. So anyway, so that's where we're flying today, EKCH to GCTS. You got the flight info popping up there. I've been changing lots of things up. Some of it's just to make it easier. This is literally a screenshot that I pulled from the pilot dispatch page or briefing page or whatever it's called over there, PVA. I don't remember what the term that we're using is, but either way, pulled it up, just cut out the white portion on the background from the screenshot so it looks a little bit cleaner, and popped it on there, and it's just easier that way. It's easier when it comes to the editing and all that stuff. So trying not to have real long intros here. I'm working on getting a little quicker, but I just realized, you know what I haven't done is I have never done a full flight tutorial in the PMDG 737 NGX. So we're going to be starting from cold and dark here. You can see we've got the air card out there. We've got the ground power hooked up. All that stuff is hooked up, and we're going to be starting from cold and dark, which is of course going to make this one just a little bit longer. However, I am going to try and get a full flight tutorial in as soon as I possibly can, and that way we can hop into this aircraft and load up, basically just about ready for push and start in the future. So without further ado, let's hop onto the flight deck. Alright, so you may have noticed from the title of the video here that we're not using FS2 Crew for this, and the reason is very simple. It's not that I don't want to. It's another $35 I think or whatever to get FS2 Crew for P3D version 4 for the NGX. So while I have it for the FSX version of the NGX, I do not have it right now for P3D version 4, and that's probably going to be a little while anyway. That's alright. That just means that we're going to, you know, go through the checklist and do everything on our own. Now the downside of that is all of my checklists and all that stuff that I have for popping up on here for the video, those are all geared towards, or they're all set up for the FS2 Crew. So I haven't decided yet whether or not, I mean, you're going to know already because you're going to start seeing it pop up, but either I created another checklist and you're seeing something different on there, or you're just seeing the FS2 Crew version of the checklist where I pop it up on the 2 EFBs. The procedures are all the same, so I mean ultimately I can use those and it's not really that big of a deal, but it might seem a little weird because we don't have FS2 Crew, we don't have the other guy talking and all of that, and I love FS2 Crew, but it also can make it a little more complicated sometimes because you know what he's supposed to do, but you don't know everything he's done yet, and you got to make sure you say the right phrases and all that. So I don't know, I'm sure we'll get it again because I really do enjoy it, but nonetheless, for this episode, and at least for the foreseeable future, we're not going to be using FS2 Crew with the NGX in P3D, which means it's all us on this one. So let's jump right in here. And the checklist that I have is a quick reference checklist for the PMDG 737. It maybe doesn't include every little detail, but I've flown this aircraft enough that I think we'll probably be fine. We're not likely to miss anything critical. So first thing we deal with is our flight planning and dispatch. Our flight plan's taken care of. Passengers and fuel are loaded. Weather briefing is noted. I've got my charts over here on the charts cloud for Navigraph, and you'll be seeing those during the briefings and all of that. We've already accepted the aircraft. Our exterior inspection is done. Our fuel is loaded and verified. And as far as we're concerned, passengers are boarded, because I don't have actual air stairs out there, and I don't know why, because I selected air stairs on here, but whatever, they're not on there. So jumping into cockpit acceptance here, and again, you may be seeing something, maybe the terminology is a little different on the checklist or something like that if I'm using the FS2 Crew checklist, but ultimately it's all the same stuff, right? Because it's the same airplane. So the parking brake needs to be set, which it is. Battery can come on up top, so we'll hop up here, and boy, it's been a while. There's the battery there. Let's see, electric hydraulic pumps need to be off. I'm gonna do. You're gonna see me doing this a little bit different, because I'm just used to what's supposed to be going on with this panel. So you know, the emergency exit lights are gonna need to come on. There's the electric hydraulic pumps; those are off there. Landing gear is down. We know that. Start levers are idle. What does it say? Start levers idle, then cut off. Not really sure. I guess idle. They want you to move them up, then cut them off. I don't know. That's kind of weird, but anyway, they should be in the cutoff position, right? Overhead fuel valve lights should be illuminated. That's these guys right here. Those are all illuminated. I believe those are the fuel valve lights, right? I mean, those are the fuel lights, low pressure. They should be illuminated. Ground power needs to come on. We want to do that as quickly as possible. Now I have to find ground power, don't I? Right in front of my face. There we go. Ground power is on. Good, fantastic. And maybe it's just a little bit dark in here. I don't know. Maybe just a little bit. Let's see. Let's turn this on dim, just so that we can see a little bit better there. It's been a little while since I've been in the old girl, to be honest with you, and I'm a little nervous about it. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it all up. Let me turn. I gotta turn these down. I can't stay in the blue color. It's got to be black to me. Okay, moving on here. Ground power on. Let's see. Batteries on. Ground power's on. Yeah, we took care of that. Duh. Fire warning system tested. Normally our guy does this, right? So this is the probably the number one problem or issue that I see with you know, with using FS2 Crew. Is I kind of gotten to the point where he does certain things, and to be honest with you, I've forgotten how to do them because I never do them. Let's see, is this the test here? Nope, that's not the test. That's not the test. It's this one. No. Okay. Come on. Now I look like kind of an idiot, don't I? Ooh, that is really high. Okay. There we go. Now we can at least see. So, yeah, that's the test switch. I mean, that's just the lights, though. I guess is that all we do for the fire warning test? I thought it made noise, but apparently it does not make noise. Okay. I'm not going to sit here looking like a complete moron. There's going to be things that I forgot to do, but you know, don't kill me, guys. Emergency exits armed. We already did that. Signs both on, up top here. That's our oh, that's our starters right there. Holy cow! How am I this lost? Has it been that long since I've been in this airplane? I guess it has. That was the signs right there. There we go. Recirculation fans need to be to auto, and these are the recircs. No, these are the recircs. They're both on auto there. And then passenger boarding commence, and then it goes to the APU start, but we're not going to do that yet, obviously, because starting the APU right now is just going to burn into our fuel, okay? And bear with me, I know I'm going to stumble around a little bit. Don't tear me up too bad in the comments there. I'm no master of the 737, and I really think I got a little too used to that FS2 Crew. Now I'm a little worried about it. All right, overhead setup. Flight control panel needs to be checked. That is actually... Isn't that the one I could never find? Flight control panel? I think it was. That was the one I could never find. Yaw damper needs to be on. I guess that's what they mean by flight control panels, this guy, right? It's not going to let me turn the yaw dampers on because I don't have the APU running right now. So we're going to have to go back and check that, which isn't that big of a deal. Let's see. Fuel system panel needs to be checked. Fuel pumps on as required. I believe we have fuel in all the tanks. So yeah, on. Oh, these two were already on, weren't they? There we go. That's where we need to be. Okay. Let's see. Cabin utility and IFE passenger needs to be on, which is right back up here somewhere, isn't it? Oh, you guys, I feel like a complete lost cause right now. Cabin utilities right here, IFE passengers right here. Those are both on. I feel like I'm just a complete mess right now. Okay, check the electrical panel. Equipment cooling needs to be normal and lights off. That's these two right here. We're good on those. Probe heat needs to be off right now. Yeah, probe heat needs to be off. This is the probe heat up here. And then window heat needs to be off as well, which it is. Anti-ice needs to be, I'm sorry, window heat needs to be on. This checklist I'm looking at has really small writing on it. Okay, there's our window heat coming on. Probe heat needs to be off. And then anti-ice needs to be off, which it is. This is the anti-ice right here. Okay, and then checking the hydraulics panel. System A switches on and System B switches on. Okay, so this is System A. And this is System B, and then these are the electric. Does it want those on as well? Engine 1, electric 2, electric. Why is that one electric 2 and that's electric 1? I have no idea why. Whatever, it says turn them on. And then electric low pressure lights off. So yep, electric low pressure lights are off. Air conditioning panel needs to be checked. And let's see, left pack needs to be on auto. So left pack, auto. Isolation valve needs to be open, which it is. Right pack needs to be on auto. And then pressurization panel check. Flight altitude set for cruise, which for us is going to be 40,000 feet. Coming on up. There we go, 40,000 feet. See, I'm not completely lost. Landing altitude set for destination. You know, I actually haven't checked that yet. That's probably something we should take a look at, isn't it? Let's check what our landing altitude is at our destination. I know everything went quiet there. Let's see. Where are we at? There we go. What is the airport altitude for Tenerife? I know it's going to be really low. It's 209 feet. That is the altitude. I'm just going to go back to the proper chart here so that I'm not lost when we get ready to pull out. 209 feet. So the closest to that would 200 feet is going to work fine on that. Exterior lighting as required. So logo lights, we're not going to need those right now. Strobe lights, we don't need strobe or steady. I don't know why that's on, but anti-collisions can come on, wing lights can come on, and we should be good on those for now. And then ignition left or right, I leave it on both because why not? Okay, and that moves us into our FMC initialization. So I should be at least familiar enough with this to not make a complete fool of myself, but hey, there's no guarantees. Let me get that speed brake out of the way real quick. Dual, there we go. Okay, dual FMC operation restored, no big deal. I'm going to leave that one where it is because we're going to have to go back to disconnect ground connection and all that stuff. I did remember to update my nav data, so we're up to date on that. We do need to do our position initialization, but for some reason we didn't do the align the IRS yet, did we? Alright, so over to nav. I'm surprised that wasn't earlier on the list. Maybe I just overlooked it. Back to align. And then we can hop back down here and go to page 2, grab the GPS position there, and put it in our boxes. And now it'll initialize the IRS. So good to go. And then we should have a company route in here. There it is, EKCH to GCTS01. So we'll select that one. It's the easy way to do it, of course. What was the flight number on this? I do not remember. You know what? We're going to do my traditional 2336 then. That's what I do when I don't know. So we'll activate that, execute, and then let's go to our performance initialization page. We are going to have to do a little bit of work with this route here in a few minutes, and I'll show you why. But let's go ahead and go here for now. So zero fuel weight first. Take care of that. Cruise altitude is going to be flight level 400. Yeah, that's our max altitude with our fuel right now. We'll be fine by the time we get there, trust me. Okay, our reserves, I believe we've been going with 5, right? 5.0 is what we were going with before, I don't remember. And then, of course, we're going to go 85 on the cost index. And we can lower that down if we're struggling with having enough fuel and all that good stuff. Moving over to our N1 limit, we're going to do a full takeoff, but we'll do climb 1. We've got a long flight ahead of us. The reason I'm going to do full takeoff is we are going to be using the, this is going to go quiet for a second, we're going to be using the shorter of the runways here. So we've got 9,186 feet, which I'm sure is more than enough, but this is still a pretty long flight. And our fuel load is more than half of what this aircraft will hold. So I'm just going to use a full takeoff and we should be good to go, right? Okay, moving to the takeoff page. Flaps, what do we do? 5 or 10, right, normally? Let's do a flaps 10. I don't know if that's the right way to go. I think we normally do 5, right? Let's do flaps 5. Check our center of gravity, 21.7 with trim at 5.17. We can come down here. It's kind of hard to see. Even harder with that thing in the way, right? 5.17. What's it at right now? 4. Scroll it up. I'm actually using the mouse wheel to scroll this for those of you who don't know. 5.16. I don't know if it'll go to 17. Probably not. Where are we at? Oh, so close. Okay, 5.16 is what we're going to go with. Okay, and that takes care of that. Now, of course, we don't have our V-speeds yet because we haven't chosen our runway or anything like that. Now, our weather right now, the wind is 195 at 12 knots with our altimeter being at 3003. So our flight plan originally called for a departure on, I have to look it up over here now. Hold on one second. I have to go to the departures page to do that, don't I? It originally called for a Lango 1D departure. However, that's a departure for runway 30. So instead, what we're going to go with is the Golga? Yeah, Golga 1B is what we're going to be using. So we go to our departure arrival, departing. We're going to use runway 12, and it's going to be the Golga 1B. And we're not going to do a transition. Now, here's going to be the kicker right here, though. We go over to our legs page, and what we have here is I have to actually literally pull up this other departure. So our original departure had Lango and probably T.O.B.S. and CH399 in it. These are for our current departure. So the problem is you get down here and then you see there's Golga and then there's a flight discontinuity, right? Okay, and then it goes to Lango, Aleza, and then on course from there. Well, we can keep Lango in there, that's fine because of the way the two departures work. But for our current departure, I don't think we need to go all the way up to Golga. Instead, I think we're going to go to Murgo, right? And then we're going to get rid of Tiska and Golga. So we're going to go from Murgo straight to Lango. So let's grab Lango, and let's put it right here where Tiska is, and it should delete all 3 of these right here. Just like that. So it's going to go Murgo and then to Lango, and we should be good to go. And once our... we need to put these to nav now, don't we? I know somebody's saying, oh, you can align in the nav mode. You're right. You can. I just forgot. Okay. So let's pop that up now, move it off to the side, move this to the plan mode, and I just want to show you what we got here now. Okay. So, let's go previous page. Alright, so there's our departure, right? It's immediate turn, and that is the departure we're using, the Golga 1B. I know it's taking just a minute, but we'll get there. Alright, so we make that turn, and that takes us out to 389. Okay, and these are just vectors right here. 363, 389, and then there's Murgo, and then down here to Lango. So if we had used the other runway, we would have been coming this way and then out to Lango. So instead, we're just circling up and around. Okay, I didn't really have to explain that, but there you go for those of you who weren't sure why we were doing what we're doing. Now you know. Hop back down here, go to our route page, back over to takeoff, and you can see we've got V-speeds available to us now. Now we can sort of fine-tune these. If we went over here and we said, let's say the runway was wet, we could change it, would change our V-speeds. It's not wet. However, the runway heading plus the wind, we can put those in there. So let me pull this up. The runway heading is 121 degrees. So we can go 121 slash, I'm sorry, no, ignore me. It already knows the runway heading. We need to put the wind heading, 195. I'm all over the place. 195 slash, and then the speed, which is 12 knots, right? We put that in here. Now, real quick, before I put it in there, okay, Okay, because it stays in the scratch pad. We got 136, 138, 148, right? Put that in there. Okay, and now what do we have? 133, 138, 148. Okay, so the difference in wind makes a difference in our V speeds. And then you can put the runway slope if you want, which is going to be 0 for us anyway, so we don't need to worry about that. So now I'm going to go ahead and accept those V speeds because I've updated it with my wind. So I'm more confident in my V speeds. Not that there was a big change or anything, if you get the point, right? And that takes care of our FMC initialization, which is going to move us over to our main panel setup here. So we'll jump up here real quick, and what do we got on main panel setup? Minimums as desired. We're going to just leave them where they're at right now. Flight path vector is fine where it's at. We do need to set the altimeter, okay? And that is going to be 3003, right? Yep. I'll pop this up so you guys can see. Well, maybe I won't. You know what? This view is too far back. Why does it not let me pop that up? I can pop that one up, but not this one? I'm like in the seat or something, aren't I? No, it'll like let me pop up everyone but that one. That's kind of weird. Okay, well, let's just do this then. Page down, there we go. That's my control, by the way, page down. Okay, 3003 is what I'm looking for, right there. There you go. Now you can see it, hopefully, and there we go. And it does set on both sides. So, okay, so we got the altimeter set. Mode selector on map. We're already on map. You could center it if you wanted. So if you hit this one, if it was behind us, it kind of is behind us, but we don't really need it. We don't need it zoomed out that far either, so we'll put it right there. Runway 12 is like right behind us, not right in front of us. I don't know why it's showing it like it's in front of us there, but it's actually behind us. You'll see. Moving on. Center switch as desired, range selector as desired, MCP course set if needed. We don't need to set the course, but we do want to set the heading at 121 degrees. Did it just start raining? It just started raining. Okay, that's fine. So let's set 121 on here. And then I was just gonna set the V2 speed in here, but we can't now, right? Because it's gonna change. So check this out. So 133, 38, and 48. Go to the next page here, and the runway's wet now. Takeoff speed's deleted, right? Which is what we expected. So now it's 123, 138, 148. Okay, and so the big one there is the V1, right? So the V1 speed changed because that's your we must take off speed, right? So once you accelerate past V1, that's it. You're committed to the takeoff. Well, because the runway is wet, that means our braking action is going to be substantially reduced, which means the amount of runway required for us to stop if we reject the takeoff is going to be longer. So it lowers the V1 speed, but it didn't really change V2 or rotate, right? So does that make sense to everybody? Let me know in the comments if you're confused by that or if I made any mistakes on that. So 148 is what we need up here. There we go, 148. Let's get the flight directors on, 1 and 2. The other one's over there. We can arm the auto throttle. LNAV, VNAV can be armed as well. Those are both good to go. Let's see what else. Heading, altitude. Oh, we do need altitude, don't we? Let me take a quick look at the departure here. Maybe if it comes up. There it is. I'm just looking for any altitude restrictions on the departure, which just at a quick glance here, I'm not seeing any, guys. Initial climb clearance 4,000 feet. And then transition level, I believe, is 7,000 feet over here. So, interesting. So, our initial climb clearance is the 4,000 feet, but we're not using ATC. And so, we're just going to assume that we've got clearance all the way up because there's no restrictions on the actual... That's just a little note that says initial climb clearance, right? So, we're just going to scroll it all the way up because otherwise what you're looking at is that's saying ATC automatically is going to expect you to go to 4,000 feet, and then you're going to wait for them to tell you anything beyond that. So, no flags on the PFD. Nope, we're good on that. We can hit the recall here. Of course, we're going to have stuff popping up right now because we don't have things started. Auto brake needs to be to RTO. That's right there. What else? Engine instruments check, we're good. We're not doing anything with the radios. Transponder, it says set and then off. So let's cruise over here. I've got these like cranked up so they're super fast. Okay, so here's our transponder. Let's set it and then run the test. Okay. Because it doesn't say on here to test it. But it's testing it now. So there we go. Let it test that. Now I'll look and see what we got next.
TCAS test pass.
Okay, speed brake lever down, thrust levers, idle, engine start levers in the cutoff position. That's these two down here. And stabilizer trim is set, which was this over here, and we already took care of that. And that takes us up to our push and start checklist. But we do need to get the APU on the aircraft. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now, just so that it's up and running. So to the on and then start position. And then what will happen is this needle will come all the way up, and then when it gets back down here around 4, then we're going to be good to go with our APU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that start up. We're going to come back staring at this view right here, but with the APU running, and then we'll get the ground power and all that stuff taken off, and we're ready to push and start. Alright, the APU is up and running. Let's go ahead and use the APU to power the aircraft at this point. We can turn ground power off, just right click it. Still shows it available, that's fine. Come down here, we've got this one ready to go. So go to FS Actions, Ground Connections. We can remove the pitot covers, remove the air conditioning unit, remove the air start unit, and remove the ground power. I don't even know why I put the air start unit on there. We don't really need it, right? Okay. Remove ground power, and then remove the wheel chocks. Make sure that your brakes are on still. Okay, they are. So remove the ground chocks. And now we've got all the ground equipment removed. We can put this one over here on the FMC and put it on the active route legs page. Then what else we got? I think that's it, right? Did we confirm all of these? We did. Yeah, 123. We're good on those. Everything's ready to go, which takes us to our pushback and start checklist. So passenger boarding is completed. Passenger doors are closed and locked. We have clearance for push. Throttles are idle. Start levers are off. Packs need to go off. Okay, so we have the packs on right now. Right click them to turn them off. Okay, APU is running. Bleed air pressure is checked. Which one's the bleed air pressure? Pressure, you know what? I honestly don't know. Is it? No, that's fuel. You know what? I don't know which one you checked for the bleed air pressure. Somebody point that out to me. It's got to be this one here, though, right? I don't know. I'm an idiot. Don't mind me. Fuel pumps are all on. Anti-collision light needs to be on. We already had that on. Parking brake released, and then push back. And then we can start. We'll start number 2 and then number 1. Okay, so we'll go into that here in just a second. So we do want to make sure APU bleed is on. That's the down position, right? So on. And then these are the engine bleeds here. Packs are off. The isolation valve remains in the open position. Recirc fans. It doesn't say anything about turning off the recirc fans, right? No, it does not. Okay, so startup is very easy on this aircraft. And again, I haven't done a full flight tutorial, so my bad. I'll do that. But I leave this on both. We start with engine 2, so we'll left click to the ground mode. Okay, ground start mode. And then what we'll do is we wait for 25 on the N2. And then we introduce fuel to the aircraft. But first, of course, we want to push back. So this does have a pushback feature in it, if I remember correctly. Let's take a look real quick. FS Actions, pushback. Let's see if it works right. So straight length will be, let's say, 50. Maybe. Yep, 50. And then we want to turn the nose to the left. But we don't want to do a full turn. So let me hop outside and show you why real quick. Probably not the best way to do it, but here we go. Okay, so we zoom over here, and it's not raining, it's snowing, which means we're probably going to need anti-ice. Okay, so we're actually going this guy right here. So we don't really want a 90-degree turn. We want about like a 75-degree turn, I think. I'm just guessing, but that's what I'm going to go with, is a 75-degree turn, okay? So let's go with 75 degrees. And we said turn the nose to the left. Let's see if it works right.
And ground, cockpit.
Go ahead, Captain.
We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion.
Roger that, ready for push. Power and air are clear, doors closed, we are ready for pushback. Please parking brake, please.
Okay, parking brake is on, cleared to push.
Let me check my ACARS.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm just making sure ACARS was working over here, because that message, that Sim Connect, is different than what I'm used to seeing in FSX, where it just says, you know, flight started or something. Okay, so as we're pushing back here, we'll go up here. We're going to start with the number 2 engine, left click it to the ground mode. And if we did everything right, we should see the N2 starting to come up, which it is. I'm probably getting a little loud in the microphone, aren't I? So we're waiting for that to get to 25. I'll shrink it back down, and then when it hits 25, we introduce our fuel. There we go. Might have started turning us a little early, huh? There's a building behind us, you know. I have a hard time figuring out what that distance is supposed to be for the straight distance. I always get it wrong. I think it's probably going to work out alright though. Okay, you heard that little click. That was the starter going off. We'll just give the engine a minute to stabilize here. I wasn't actually that far off. Look, the line's just our left a little bit. It wasn't horrible. It's probably going to park us inside a building, but... Okay, engine's stabilized now. Let's go ahead and start engine 1. Left click on the starter. Waiting for 25 on the N2.
Push is complete. Set parking brake, please.
Parking brake set. Yeah, I wasn't that far off.
Set and pressure's normal.
Like...
Okay, sir. Tow bar is on. Pin is out. Watch the pin on the right.
Alright guys, thanks. You're cleared to disconnect. We will be watching for the pin and the release from guidance on the right side of the airplane, and we'll see you guys next time through.
Roger that. Have a good flight.
Probably could have added like 5 feet to the straight distance. That would have been just about perfect. Alright, so we're just going to wait for the engine to start and stabilize here. I don't know if this is quicker or using FS2 Crew is quicker. I suppose if you really get used to FS2 Crew, that ultimately would be a little bit faster. But, you know, it is what it is. While that's stabilizing, let's go ahead and set this back where we want it. There we go. Close that down. Okay, engine's starting to stabilize now. Let's go ahead and take care of this after start checklist. Engine generators need to come on. So what you're doing is you click, left click each of these, and that sends the power. That's just the way I think about it, sending the power back to the APU. So I'm using the engines to power the aircraft now. Probe heat needs to come on. Yaw dampers can come on as well. Anti-ice. So it's anti-ice as required, right? So let's hop back down here real quick and let's just take a look. What's our outside air temperature? It's plus 8 degrees Celsius and there's clearly moisture in the air because it's snowing. So we probably need to go ahead and put the anti-ice on at this point. So wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice, let's put both of those on. Engine bleeds need to come on. They were already on. I don't know what the difference is. Packs can come on. Both the packs coming on now. Isolation valve goes to the auto position. Right click that to put it in auto. APU bleed can go off. Right click that, and then the APU switch can go off. So right click the switch U. There we go. Taxi light's going to come on, so I'm just going to hit it while I'm there. We don't need logo lights. All of that's looking good. We turn wheel well lights on. What else? External lights as required. Hey, it was the next one on the list. Taxi light's already on. Master caution light needs to be off. That's down here, so this light should be off. Hit the recall there. I don't know if you need to hit recall on both sides. No, it's the same thing no matter which side you hit, right? And that takes care of that, and that moves us into our taxi checklist. So for taxi clearances obtained, ground crews out of the way. Taxi speed, it says maximum greater than 20 knots. I don't know. It just says 20 knots. Brakes checked. We'll do a brake check as we pull out, and then set the flaps. So flaps is going to be flaps 5. So that's 1. That's 2. Right? That's 2, isn't it? Yeah, that's 2, and then flaps 5. There we go. Flaps 5. And so, of course, I need to put my track IR hat on and get that all started up. So I'm going to break away here for just a minute. When we come back, we're going to taxi, take care of our taxi and departure briefings. Alright, we got everything ready to go, folks. We don't have to go very far as our taxi is concerned, so that's fantastic. However, it doesn't leave a lot of time for the briefing. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to shut my mouth here. We're going to start taxiing out. Track IR is coming on. Little jump here. There we go. Let's get the brake off. We're going to start taxiing out. And let's go ahead and have that taxi and departure briefing, please. Alright, folks. It's going to be a really short taxi route today. We've had a few of them. You can't really see squat on this view. We're going to take a look at a different view here in a second. But we do want to take advantage of the other information that's on here. Even though we're not using ATC, I like to brief these because that's part of the proper briefing. So, ATIS for departure is going to be on 122.850. Departure clearance on 119.9er. The apron is on 121.725. And departure for the north apron, which I guess that's us, that's 121.9. So I don't know what the difference is, to be honest with you. We don't need arrival. And what else? Tower on 118.575, and then departing aircraft 119.4. 350. We don't have to worry about this hot spot. Let's take a look at the parking stands here. So this gives us a little bit cleaner view. We're actually parked right up here. We're tucked right into the corner. And that was just pure coincidence, believe it or not. But we're going to be taking runway 12, which is this guy here. So when we push back, we're just going to kind of push back along this line. I'll try not to mess it up. Well, I already messed it up because you just saw the pushback. I was off to the right a little bit, right? But either way, we're going to swing around here on J, take it down to K, down to K1, and then we'll hold short there. I don't know why it says no entry, because when we taxi over there, you'll see that that's where we're going to be entering the runway at. So either way, that's where we're going to go as far as our taxi brief. Now let's take a quick look at this departure briefing. So it's the Golga 1B departure for us, only available flight level 70 and above. I don't really know what that means, to be honest with you, but what I had to do is go in and grab this one because we were originally scheduled to depart off of runway 30, which was literally the opposite direction. And so I had to find a suitable departure for us. And so this one works out actually. So taking a look up here, departure on 120.250. RNAV approval is required. Transition altitude is at 5,000 feet. I think I messed that up later on and I say that I think it's 6 or 7, but I don't know. Either way, transition altitude of 5,000 feet. And looking down here, just they always have this in bright red, don't they? Speed is a maximum 250 knots at or below flight level 7,000 or 70. Looking down here, as we depart at 104 degrees, or we'll turn to 104 degrees because that's a little off of what the runway actually is. Out to CH363, we'll hang a left to 360 degrees due north here to CH389, hang another left out here to 379, and then out to Murgo. And I believe from Murgo, we're getting rid of Tisca and Golga. We're going to go from Murgo over to a waypoint that was on our original departure, and then carry on from there. This doesn't apply to us. We are RNAV equipped. I'm not worried about the ground speed stuff. Our initial climb clearance to 4,000 feet. We're just going to scoot right on past that because there's no actual restrictions in here. That's just an assumed clearance. So you're clear to 4,000 feet unless instructed otherwise by ATC, basically. And let's see what else. Golga 1B, climb on extended runway center line to KAS radial 078. So KAS is this guy here. So until you get to the 078 degree radial from KAS, which is odd meg waypoint, or 600 feet, whichever is later, then turn left, climb on 104 degree track to 1,700 feet, CH363, that's out here, then left to 389, and we already basically briefed that. And of course we got rid of Tisca and Golga. And that basically sums up your departure briefing, so off we go then. Alright, we got her holding short of the runway here. Let's go ahead and take care of our before takeoff checklist. Want to make sure the master caution light is off. That's this one here. Press on the recall, make sure nothing stays up. Flight controls are checked. Flaps are set at flaps 5. We can verify that here and over here. I'm not going to cruise over there to see it. Trim is checked and set. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is complete. That was our departure briefing. We've already got our takeoff clearance. All the lights need to come on now. Runway turnoff lights, landing lights, strobe lights need to come on. And I think those go up here to the steady and, what does it say up there? Steady and strobe, right? Strobe and steady, whatever. Good enough for me. Let's see, engine throttle switches need to go to continuous. Right click each of these once. Auto throttle's already armed, and transponder needs to go to TARA. That's down here, way down here. Scroll that bad boy all the way over to TARA. Jump back up here. We can put traffic. Well, we're not going to put traffic on because there's no traffic in here right now. You know, that's that'd be helpful though. Quick question for you guys, and the altimeter changed because I was sitting here for a few minutes. If anybody knows, like I had Sky, oh I forget what it was called, Sky AI or something for FSX, and that's why I have all those proper liveries in there. So you see U.S. Airways, American Airlines, stuff like that. Is there one of those for FSX? A free one. I'm not FSX, for P3D, because I don't want to buy one. I bought one for FSX. It was My Traffic 6, and it was crap. It was junk. It was horrible. It was terrible. Okay, so I don't want to buy one. If there's a free one or somewhere to get some free liveries and stuff for P3D so that I can add traffic, that'd be fantastic. If somebody knows, let me know down in the comments. All right, enough talking. Big jump from the track IR here. There we go. All right, let's get those parking brakes off. Let's bring in some throttle here. And our takeoff procedure, as we get rolling out here, I'm trying to read and look where I'm going. We're going to advance the engines. Let's see. Take off, align with the runway, blah, blah, blah. Once we get lined up here, we'll advance the throttles to 40%, and then we'll engage the toga button and release the brakes, and then away we go. Pretty straightforward, right? Not sure if my toga button works or not, but if it doesn't, I think this is the hidden toga right here, I think. If not, we are doing full thrust on our departure, so we should be alright. Alright, come on out now. Now remember, for elevator music, which of course isn't for a little while, it's not going to include the taxi and takeoff and all of that because I don't have something equivalent to FS Recorder for P3D. So, it is what it is, right? Should have plenty of runway here. Notice that those lights are not all the way down on the runway. They're floating. I don't know why that is. I've noticed that quite a bit, but they're floating a little bit. Just enough that you can tell if you're paying attention. It is what it is. Alright. Oh, stop it. That just disconnected my auto throttle too. I don't know why that stinking engine 2 goes into reverse. It's driving me insane. It's driving me nuts. Alright. Throttle's up to 40%. Let them stabilize. Let's hope the toga button works. There we are, just about 40%. Release the brakes. Toga. And toga worked. Fantastic. Away we go. And I hope that I have the engines and stuff the sound turned down enough so that you can hear me clearly without any issues. Because that's been a problem. A little hard on the rudders there. Obviously we got a bit of crosswind.
V1.
V1.
Rotate.
I don't know why we have two V1 callouts.
Positive rate of climb gear coming up.
Gear up.
Our decel. Looking good so far. Not ready to bring any flaps up yet. We'll be here just a second. Well, not a second, but a minute. Speed come up a little bit more. Looking good. Just going to start bringing flaps up to 2. Flaps 1. Have a hard left turn coming up here shortly. Don't want to accelerate any higher than 2/3 at the moment. I'm not ready to. And the reason I'm not ready to is because I'm hand flying and there's more going on, and it's just easier to not have to worry about it shooting past 250 knots at the moment. We're gonna bring the flaps up here in a second, but once those flaps come up, I want to get the autopilot on, right? And take care of the after takeoff checklist. And I think we're ready to do that now. So flaps coming up. Let's go ahead and engage the autopilot now. There we go. Autopilot's engaged. And the VNAV kicked out. There we go. VNAV back in. I don't know. I must have been holding the yoke a little bit. That's what kicked out the VNAV. All right, looking at 5,000 feet right now. Track higher coming off. Little jump here. There we go. Let's take care of this after takeoff checklist. The gear is up. Let's see, speed. Let's talk about speed at 400 feet, 800 feet, all that. Retract flaps on schedule. Flaps are up at this point. Gear needs to go off. Let's do that. Gear off. We're already past transition altitude, so we need to turn this to standard. I guess it was 5,000, not 7,000 feet. I thought it was 7,000. Anyway, auto brakes can come off. Pull those up one. And engine starters can go off. Pull those to the left one. And that takes care of our after takeoff checklist, which means, ladies and gentlemen, nothing left to do but take care of some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright guys, we're coming in on the Conba 1X, or Conba 1X, however you want to say that. Basically it's the same as the Hero or the H.O.T.A.S with a couple of minor differences obviously. Anyway, into Tenerife we go. So 118 or 118.675 is our H.O.T.A.S airport elevation at 209 feet, transition out to the 6,000 feet. And we're coming in out here at Conba. I have no idea how to say that. But coming from there, 214 degrees down to Gurkha, and then flight level, it says 90, so 9,000 feet from Gurkha down to Brick, then turn to heading 225 all the way down. It's 90 miles from Brick down to Araco, and that one says flight level 70. Now I don't know if that's the minimum or the maximum or what, but either way, I don't know. I don't think you want to fly 90 miles at 7,000 feet. It's over open water, but either way. So down to Araco, and then bang a hard left from there to 128 degrees, down to Ganta, and then to Bamel, and then that's going to put us onto our approach from there. So pretty straightforward, not an overly difficult arrival today. So. Alright guys, we're going to be on our top of descent here in 2 shakes of a leg. A little bit of cleanup work here to do, get ready for our descent itself. First thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and scroll this down to 7,000, and that way if we pass our top of descent while I'm bumping my gums here, she'll go ahead and start on the descent. We should be good to go. So 7,000 it is. You should know why that is if you paid any attention to the arrival briefing. If you didn't, well, that's on you then. We'll scroll that down just a little bit. You can see we're just inside 20 nautical miles from our top of descent point there. We're going to actually take care of the descent and arrival checklist. Right now I have both. That's the checklist system, or whatever you want to call the checklist that I'm using right now is descent and arrival. I mean, there's hardly anything on either of them. I mean, it tells us monitor the speed. Okay, well, I don't know why that's a checklist item. That's just something you should be doing anyway. It talks about setting the altimeter set for the local altimeter at the transition altitude, which for us is going to be 6,000 feet. So that's going to stay where it's at for a little while. Now, we do want to set our minimums, and our minimums are going to be 446 feet, I believe it was. So let's see, that's for Barrow, 446 feet, maybe. There we go. So Barrow should be 446. I'll double check that here in just a second. We'll scroll this up to 446. It's going to be close to that either way. There was 2 of them on there. And you'll see when we do the approach briefing what I'm talking about. Yeah, 446, or if we were doing radio, it'd be 258 feet. But the weather's looking good, and if I remember correctly, it's Barrow when the weather's good, and radio when the weather's crap. Somebody remind me. I keep forgetting that. Forget which is which. All right, moving on. What do we got here? Seatbelt sign's already on. I never turn it off. It's just too much hassle. Lights as appropriate. And then going into our arrival checklist here, destination runway has been selected. We're going to be taking runway 7. The approach in the FMC as required, and so that's just saying that we put the approach in here along with the arrival and all that in our FMC, which we have. And then we want to select our VREF. We do that by hopping down here. Could pop this thing up. I'm just going to do it down here. Click on the initial reference page. We got tons of runway to work with. So I'm going to do a flaps 30 landing on this one. So we'll select that. We'll set it in there. And then let's see, wind correction +5. There's our ILS in there. So that looks good. 109.7. Yep, we're good on that. And we're just about on that top of descent point, and it looks like that's it until we get to our approach checklist. So basically we're ready. We should be starting the descent right now, actually, as I'm talking. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just keep the flight going here, keep the recording going, and leave some space here, and you guys are going to get your approach brief basically right now. Alright folks, taking a look at our, I just like totally, my recording thing is driving me nuts because I press record and it takes like 30 seconds to start recording, and I'm just sitting here like an idiot staring at the screen, and then I just completely lost my train of thought. Taking a look at our approach briefing. It's the ILS Z Zulu Z, however you want to say it, runway 7 approach. ATIS is going to be on 118.675. Tenerife South approach is on 127.7, and Tenerife South Tower 119.0, ground on 121.9. Our localizer frequency today is 109.7 with a final approach course of 74 degrees. Glide slope starts 4 nautical miles out from the localizer at 1,526 feet MSL, or 1,338 feet above the ground. ILS decision altitude and or height, you got to refer to the minimums. That's going to be down here. We'll get to that in a minute. Airport elevation 209 feet. Runway touchdown zone elevation is 188 feet. We'll talk about the missed approach here in a minute. When we get down here to Bammel, taking a look at our map view, we're going to fly this curvy little number right here at about getting down to 2,600 feet. We need to be 2,600 feet by the time we get in here. Coming all the way around to 074 degrees, and then on in to our approach from there. Taking a look at the profile view, this little line up here, in case there's any confusion, has to do with this hold right here. Okay, so we're not worried about the hold. 10 nautical miles out. This thing actually almost looks a little confusing. So you got 10 nautical miles out from TFS. You come down here, and then you got 10 nautical miles from ITS and 4.3 from TFS. And the reason is this: ITS, India Tango Sierra, that's the localizer. That's way down here. TFS is the VOR that's out here, and it's actually giving you reference distance off of both of those. So you need to pay attention to which one you're looking at there. But either way, so 10 miles out from ITS, we want to be at 2,600 feet, start descending from there down to 2,100 feet until we intercept the glide slope, and then continuing on in from there. It's pretty straightforward unless we have to fly a missed approach. It looks confusing, but it's really not. There's just a lot of stuff kind of crammed into that little spot there. If we do have to perform a missed approach, we're going to climb straight ahead to 5,000 feet. I guarantee that I'm going to forget to set the go-around altitude, and I'm going to forget to arm the spoilers. And the reason I know that is because I've already done the flight, I've already landed the plane, and now I'm recording the approach briefing. So there you go, just a heads up on that. But anyway, climb straight ahead to 5,000 feet, and then turn right at a maximum of 220 knots to the VOR. It just says to VOR, so it's obviously referring to the TFS VOR. And then at flight level 70, so climbing all the way up to 70, and then join holding here. Alright, so that would be our missed approach. You can see it's pretty straightforward there. Now, there's a little bit more to that though. Come down to the bottom here, where it's talking about straight in landing. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what the difference is between these two, and let me tell you why. There are a couple differences when you read them. This one says missed approach, climb gradient minimum 3%, and this one says missed approach, climb gradient minimum 2.5%. Different decision altitude and height on both of these. Other than that, everything is the same, except that this one says 1 and this one says 2. I don't really know what's the difference supposed to be between these. Maybe it has to do with aircraft performance. I don't know, but that was the assumption I went on. And since we've got a high-performance aircraft, I went with this guy over here. So for us, a missed approach would be a 3% climb gradient. Our decision height is going to be 446 feet, and then we need a runway visual range of 800 meters. Pretty straightforward there. PAPI lights are supposed to be on both sides. I don't think they actually are, but big surprise there, right? And that pretty much sums it up. Pretty straightforward as far as the approach goes. It just looks a little confusing. There's a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of towers out here, so a lot of obstacles. They're all noted on here, and then there's a note up here about an obstruction that is 14 nautical miles at 351 degrees from the airport, so that'd be like somewhere up here. It's at 12,198 feet. But beyond that, I think we're pretty much good to go. So off we go to fly the approach then. Alright folks, we're coming up on it here pretty quick. We need to take care of our approach checklist. We've already selected and briefed the approach. Nav radios are set. We've got 109.7 in both of the nav radios and then 116.4 for the missed approach. What else we got here? We want to approach the intercept at 180 knots, flaps 5, that's all good. Auto brake is set. We've set auto brakes 1. Spoilers are not armed yet. And the only reason they're not armed is because we may need them to slow down a little more as we get closer into the short final here. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of weird, this checklist, the way I've got it set up. It's got some of the landing stuff under the approach section. It doesn't really have an approach, or a landing checklist. So we'll just address that, you know, as we need to. But we've got all the other stuff done. Lights are on, all that good stuff. We are cutting a little bit into our reserve fuel there. That's why you'll see yellow on the fuel gauges. Well, that just because the fuel's getting low. I think once they get below 2,000, I think is when it starts showing them low. We hit a much stronger headwind than anticipated coming all the way across, and so that just ate into a little bit of that fuel. Not too big a deal. We're going to be just fine. So we're about to make our turn here at Bammel. And as we make the turn here at Bammel, we'll start to descend a little further, getting down to 2,600 feet. There we go. Start to make that turn right now, obviously. So while I've been carrying on with this 5.5-hour flight, which is a long time to sit here and stare at the screen sometimes, I was watching some YouTube videos from a YouTube channel called Flight Deck. I think it was Flight Deck to Sim, which I had heard of before. I thought there was a web page called Flight Deck to Sim or something like that, and maybe there is. But anyway, the YouTube channel, it's a real world 737 NGX pilot, and he is let's go ahead and set that 3009 is our altimeter. He's a real world 737 pilot, and so he's basically putting together some tutorials on there which are really good. So if you get a chance, maybe check out his channel there. Let's get a little drag out. That's why we didn't arm the spoilers yet. Had a feeling we were going to need to throw some drag out there, so let's take advantage of that. And we'll start out on the ILS approach, but ultimately, as we typically do, we'll turn the autopilot off and hand fly it. I'm no master of any aircraft here, so I'm going to just suck it up and do my best. Let's get the course over here set to 7-4. There we go. Not quite ready to arm the localizer yet, but we'll start making this left turn here, and as we swing around, we'll arm that localizer as well. Let's go ahead and let's take control of the speed here. Let's bring it down to 180 because that's what it tells us to enter the approach at. Put the first setting of flaps in and start bringing those spoilers back out. There we go. Go ahead and bring in flaps 2 there. We've got plenty of room for that. And we can bring that speed down to 177. I think is we can get a little more. We'll get right in between flaps 1 and 2 for the moment. 173. Go ahead and arm the localizer now. If I can find it, there it is. Localizer is armed. You can see it turns white there. For whatever reason, I still can't pop that one up. There it is, white. There's our glide slope is active. We're down below it where we belong. And as soon as that localizer arms up, we'll be good to go. Let's bring this down to 160 now. Go ahead and set her to flaps 5. And we can go ahead and go flaps 10, help us slow down a little bit. There's Tenerife right there. Still continuing down to 2,600 feet. Using up a little extra fuel because we added the extra drag, but we do have enough to make it in, and we have enough for a go around if necessary. Just cutting it a little close, which wasn't ideal, but again, you hit those headwinds. You know, the weather's not always what it's forecast to be, is it? I've got terrain turned on this side. I've got weather turned on this side. We could probably turn the weather off at this point. We're not going to have any issues with weather here. We're down below the clouds. Within 1,000 feet of our assigned altitude at this point, you can see the localizer is alive. It's starting to move across there. Again, if you want me to pop it up, I got to do it on this side. There's the diamond moving. And this diamond's moving just a little bit as well. Well, I tell you what, that looks crystal clear right there, but then you pop them back down and it almost looks like some of this looks a little blurry to me. It's kind of weird, because if I get up close, I mean, these are absolutely sharp, crystal clear. But backed off like this, it's kind of hard to tell which one's which. I found that a little odd, considering, you know, I've got the settings pretty much cranked up to max on just about everything. Alright, looking good. Our VREF is, let's double check it here, is 135, 134. We'll go with 135, so we want to get down to 140. It's locked onto the localizer now. Let's go ahead and arm that approach switch. And as soon as it intercepts that glide slope, we'll go ahead and drop that speed to 140, drop the gear, and start bringing the flaps down to flaps 30. And then we'll take care of our last checklist items. Which, even though I don't have a checklist for it, which I still, like I said, I find that kind of strange actually, but that's fine. We'll do what we know needs to be done as far as checklist items go. How's that? Just waiting on that glide slope capture now. It's coming in there. You see it's all, well, I thought it was grabbing right there, but it just went to VNAV altitude for some reason. Oh, because we're at 2,600, duh. Alright, so it'll level off here, that's fine. But there it is, it grabbed the glide slope right there. Okay, so bring this down to 140, that's VREF plus 5, drop the gear. And go ahead and bring in the next setting of flaps.
2,500.
And as she starts to slow down, we got 2 more flap settings to go. Go ahead and bring it all the way to flaps 30. Track IR coming on a little jump here. Big jump, I lied. Alright, let's just let her settle down for a second as it gets to 140 knots. And let's take care of that landing checklist. Landing lights are on. Gear is down, 3 green. Flaps are set, flaps 30. We are good to go. So let's go ahead and take the autopilot off then. There we go. And flying it. And let's go ahead and take off that auto throttle as well. There we go. And it's all us at this point. Well, it's all me. You guys got it made. You just get to sit there and watch. Alright, so we got a little crosswind coming in off the left there. Boy, this is a famous airport, isn't it? If you don't know why this airport is famous, you should probably look that up. You should look it up. Okay, just a touch slow there, bring in just a little bit of throttle. Just a little, that was a bit much. There we go, looking good. Alright, we're looking fantastic here. spot on the glide slope, not having any problems there. Drifted maybe just a hair to the left, not too bad. Speed's doing pretty good. Just a little high. Bring that nose down just a little. I'm using the throttles is what I'm doing. Alright. We're going to be back right on that glide slope here in just a second. I love how the clouds cast shadows out here. I don't know why I got a little stutter there though. There we go, right back on glide slope.
100.
Landing.
300. Minimums.
I suppose that's the landing call, minimums, right?
Light slope.
We're fine.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Oh, I didn't even pull on it. Now I did. You know what? I'd never armed the spoilers. I never armed the spoilers. I messed up. My bad. Alright, let's go ahead and clean it up, get those spoilers up. I manually deployed them, so you're still able to use them, but I forgot to arm the spoilers. Figures, eh? Let's get those landing lights off. Taxi lights are already on, runway turn-off lights are good. Turn the APU on. Engine starters were on continuous. Go ahead and turn off the auto brakes. Flight directors can come off. And as we coast down here just a little bit, let me take a look at this after landing checklist. Speed brake lever is up, flaps are up, probe heat needs to go off. That's way up here. 1 and 2. Fantastic. Where are we going? Going back over there. Okay. Probe heat's off, engine start switches are off. Landing lights are off, taxi lights are on, strobe lights can come off. There we go. Flight directors are off, transponder needs to go to standby. That's way down here. All the way over there. There we go. Fantastic. That guy off there. And APU has already been started. So, I'm going to go ahead and taxi it in here, and then once I get to a parking stand, I will hop back on here, and we'll get her wrapped up. Alright, I found us a parking space here. Let's go ahead and take care of this shutdown checklist here. Brakes need to be on. Parking brakes, they are. Start levers can go off. Cut off. 1 and 2. We've already got the APU on. APU's on the bus. Ground power says to turn ground power on, so let's go ahead and, you know what, let's just do it. Menu, FS actions, ground connections, set the wheel chocks, add the ground power, and we don't need the rest of it. So ground power can come on at this point. Bam, there's ground power. That means the APU can come off. That's the start switch. We need it to go off. Doors and stairs will take care of those. You know, obviously we don't have stairs. So fuel pumps come off. Cabin utility off. IFE passengers off. That's these two up here, off and off, if I can get to them. All the window heats go off. Let me just switch to a view where you can actually see here. Off, off. Probe heat came off after we landed, in case you didn't pay attention. Probe heat's already off. Electric hydraulics can go off. That's the two in the middle here. Why are we getting that warning? Try that again. That was kind of weird. It like stayed on the APU for some reason. Anyway, all bleeds can go off. Recirc fan, let's see, isolation valve needs to be closed. That's all the way up. Right click it. Recirc fan needs to be to auto. They're on auto. Packs are fine where they're at right now. External lighting can go off. We never turned logo light on, did we? nor should we have. We didn't turn taxi light on as we pulled in. I always forget to do that. Emergency lights off. There we go. And then battery off, and then ground power off. So right click, battery off, and then ground power off. And that's gonna wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, it's kind of a long flight, but it was a good flight. I enjoyed that one. Pretty neat flying into here. It's been a while since we've done life of a virtual airline pilot, obviously. We did have a good landing rate, in case you're wondering. It was minus 26, but I really did not want to float it on that one. Like, I was really trying not to. But I floated it. What are you going to do? So, good flight, though. Glad to get back to this series. Hope to keep pressing forward with these. Not sure if I want to go back to FS2 crew or not. I kind of like the feel of doing things. I mean, on the one hand, it adds more realism, having somebody in there doing it with you. On the other hand, I think that maybe you learn a little bit more by doing it yourself. So, I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. Oh, excuse me. I had a hiccup there. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. And then don't forget to look for the voting thread. I will put up a voting thread for whatever the next flight, the options for the next flight is going to be. So watch for that. And I think that's it, folks. If you haven't already done so, please smash the subscribe button. Well over 5,100 subscribers at this point. I am humbled by that. I truly am. I think it's amazing. Take an opportunity to take a look at that flight review video I put up. It's a pretty good time. Fantastic rant at the end there. Let me know what your thoughts are on that as well. Give the video a thumbs up. Makes it easier to find in the searches. All of that good stuff. Tell all your friends about the Captain Mac channel. Tell them, come on over. Take a look at what we got going on here. You can like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And, of course, you can still follow us on Twitch at Captain Mac 3588. We will get back to live streams at some point. Can't say when. It's a time issue. It's always a time issue, right? I mean, that's the way life is. So, but head on over to Twitch anyway and follow us over there, and that way you'll know when we're doing live streams, and it'll be a good time. And that's it, folks. So until next time, as always, don't forget, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have a fantastic day.